Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1 minute segments and then examine it in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco. And Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Here on the Marvel Movie Minute, we love to discuss sometimes the origins of words and phrases. This is obviously important to screenwriters, and it's certainly important to actors, the ones who deliver them. And sometimes they just have to make stuff up. They ad lib.
Sure.
We understand that. Okay, I'm not even gonna tease what I'm talking about here.
Okay.
There is a phrase that Tony Stark utters in this minute, one-off, and I was intrigued by that. I was like, well, okay, interesting. Where does that? I've heard that before. I've heard it in this movie. What's the story behind this? So if you search this, and I would encourage anyone to check this out, there is an article from 2010, and note the date, July 2nd, 2010, from the New York Times Magazine in a regular segment they have called On Language. The title of this article is The Origins of One-Off, and it's an article by Ben Zimmer. Basically, the article is, he's like, I've been getting emails from people saying, hey, I'm hearing this term a lot. Why is that? And he's like, and that's not something I've normally heard. Like, where's this coming from? And they talk about how the history of this is that a lot of people thought it was a British expression that had been slowly creeping into the usage in America over the last few recent years when this was written. And the idea was that it was shorthand for one of something. So, one of five. This is one of one. And instead it just became, it's a one-off, meaning that it's that, it's one and there's only one that exists. Yeah. Or you can hear this, and this is actually, there's examples of this in that I think there's an advertisement for some printers, I guess, in 1973, and the phrase is used 6 off. So that's actually been in Britain. It again permeated its way here into America. This idea of a number followed by the word off, and you would get this idea that, okay, that's it. That's all that exists. So that's how it came out. And there's even more talk. And please, I'd encourage you to read the article because it's very interesting. It's not very long, but I just thought it was really intriguing. Here's the thing. This article comes out 2 months after this movie comes out in theaters.
I think that's reintroduce this phrase into public consciousness.
That's what I think happened.
Wow.
Which I thought was crazy. Like, wait, what? Because people heard this and they're like, well, it's a one-off. Well, I mean, and when he says it, which we'll talk about in this minute,
sure,
you know what he means. But it's just not something that people probably had heard. And now people are talking about it and it influences the culture. Art becomes life. Life imitates art. Yada, yada, yada. This is where we are.
You can't yada, yada life and art. Because everyone assumed that Iron Man would also be a one-off. But no, because here we are talking about Iron Man 2, minute 109, from all the way back in 2010. Director Mr. Jon Favreau. And so we pick up where we left off, which is Iron Man has just cut the competition down to size with lasers. So everything is like basically all the drones are now destroyed. He has wiped out Hammer's entire drone armada fleet. I don't know. I guess it depends on which of the sides you're talking about. Platoon? Squad? I don't know. It depends, I guess, how many there are. So Rhodey, looking around at the destruction all around them, says, wow, I think you should lead with that next time. And so one of my favorite effects from this is like Tony has his hands up with the red laser. You can see them still glowing red, and he discards them. He just basically, like the emitters from where the lasers came out, just chunk, and they fall to the ground. It's so cool. Like, and once again, we're back to that physical, tactile thing of like he burned them out, so chunk, out they go.
Okay, and I was just going to say what I like about this is, one, again, talking about what we talked about in the last minute, that mechanical sound and the texture and all of that is great. I also think this is kind of a really fun little allusion to one of the major plots of this movie.
Oh, okay.
Because Tony himself was ejecting burnt out cartridges earlier in the film.
That's true.
I know. I've always like, that's kind of funny, right? He's like, yeah, I'm done with that. See, like, I kind of just like that allusion to that earlier on. So, love the tech part of this. I love Don Cheadle's acting where when it cuts to his face before he says, that's great. Maybe you should lead with this next time. He has this sort of approving nod like, yeah. you were the big gun. I mean, there is a little bit in his face that you kind of get like, okay, all right, touche. Gotcha.
That's right. So Tony says, yeah, sorry, boss. I can only use it once. It's a one-off. And there's sort of the thing. But originally, that actually is what happened. Like, this scene happened in the middle of the fight. Oh. Like, he blasted it, and then they continued on. And then it was after they were, like, put it together and assembled, they're like, oh, no, that should be the end. Like, that should be the final thing. And then they sort of went back, and then they wrote this little piece for them to say. So that that's the culmination of the fight, and that is the end of the drone fight. Like that is we have come to the end of that. So then we cut to back inside the expo. So then they're still going on today. But the thing is, I don't really know what they're doing at this point. Like the drones were sort of controlled. The Rhodey suit got taken. Natasha took care of that. So like, what are they still working on?
Okay. So that, and I have another question. Pepper was just having a video call with Natasha and Tony.
Yes. I
forgot that Justin is standing right there.
Yeah. And also, if let's assume that the computer has the camera mounted to the top of the monitor, like ours do, like our things do. That means she would have to have pushed the guy aside, the hammer, to like have that conversation, and had that, and then went, oh yeah, go continue back to whatever, to trying to save the planet or whatever it is you were doing.
I'll be honest. All the times I've watched this movie, I've never really thought about this, and of course this time I did. He's right there. Right. How, when they're not having their little conversation earlier, does Justin not butt in and go, hey, Tony, just go home. Just go home, man. Don't worry. It's fine.
We got
you don't
this.
Need this.
It's under control. It's fine.
Right? That's what should happen.
Yeah. But they brought it, I guess, apparently for that scene, even though I didn't talk about it, they just brought in those two and just had them in chairs, with a camera on each of them, and they just shot it. So Justin starts the scene and he says, I told you that 5 minutes ago, which is sort of like, what did you tell 5 minutes ago? So that would have been minute 101. So were you talking about the Russian language thing? Was that what you were referring to?
Right.
I don't know. So then as they're going, then we see, everybody be cool. The cops are here.
It's the police.
Yeah. P.I. Don't you dare. Pepper says, that's your guy here. Like she points like arrest him, officer. Like she points out Justin right away. Justin has lost his glasses now. Like they were broken, but he's taken them off now. Justin says, excuse me. And the police officer says, you're being placed under arrest. So this is Keith Middlebrook. He is a actor with 24 credits on IMDb. This is not the last time we will see him in the MCU because he will also show up in Thor and Iron Man 3, not playing the same cop. So, figure.
Playing a cop, just not the same cop.
I think it was a security officer in one, and yeah. So,
gotcha.
So then he basically is then arresting him. So he's putting handcuffs on him. So Justin says, "Are you kidding me? Hands behind your back, sir." Justin says, "I'm trying to help here." And then he sort of paused to take a moment. Okay, so we've talked about phantom technology, and now we're going to talk about phantom plot lines, because what the hell is about to happen in this scene is so confusing to me. I honestly don't get this. Okay, so Justin says suddenly does a full Kaiser Soze at this point.
Yes, that's right.
Turns on Pepper and he goes, "I get it. I see what you're doing. You're trying to pin this on me, huh?" And he is 100% sincere in everything he delivers here. Sam Rockwell is full on committed to this. So he's not doing a Justin Hammer oh, come on, wait, man, it's cool. It's he is full on all of a sudden serious about everything. He says, that's good. You're starting to think like a CEO, taking out the competition. I like that. You think you're making a problem for me? And as they're dragging him away at this point, I'm going to make a problem for you. I'm going to be seeing you again real soon.
What happened?
What is going on here? Like, because this seems like from like an alternate universe, because this is not at all the Justin Hammer we've seen in previous stuff. So tell me what you think is happening here.
So I'm going to tell you this. Here's what I think's happening. First of all, I just want to say Sam Rockwell, awesome moment when she tells them to arrest him. You see his face looking at her because he's got issues, which we'll talk about. But as soon as he looks at the cops, his eyes get all like, oh, whoa, what's going on, right? And I just love that little bit of acting. Okay, so this conversation with Pepper seems completely out of the blue.
Yeah.
He hates her. He hates everything about her. This is amusingly, this sort of, twisted devotion of hating her. You'll see this in a one shot that we might talk about during the credits, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to say this, that's something not connected to this movie. But here's what I think has happened. He wants to be Tony's brother. He would love to be heir apparent to Tony. He wants that relationship with Tony so bad, she's gotten in the way. He hates her. He does pull a Kaiser Sose. You're absolutely right. He is completely trying to change the story. Yes, this shows probably some sort of bad psychosis, but exactly right. He's immediately trying to project. And what is this? This is the exhibit of a grade A narcissist.
Okay, so who is the real Justin Hammer then? Like, is this... Because we had sort of built it up in our head that he is the guy who's always trying to fit in, who's always like just perpetually uncool, but is trying to go through all the motions of it. The spoiled rich kid, essentially, who can have whatever he wants except credibility. And so he's trying to even buy his way into that. So is that the real Justin Hammer, like the scare kid? Or is that all been an act because secretly underneath he's this ruthless guy? And this is the real we're seeing here, too.
I'm going to tell you something.
Because either of those theories sound like bogus to me. This sounds just like an alternate take that they should not have used. That's my theory of this.
I will just tell you this. I don't think we've seen the last Justin Hammer. We'll talk about that, right?
Well, but as far as the MCU is concerned, yeah, we have, and is this is the Phantom plotline part of it that regrets me, is that it seems like he's going to be a recurring nemesis, and he's not. Like, so they build up this big thing of, and obviously they did not know that, but like to spend all this time and energy here to be like, I'm gonna make a big profit. I'm gonna see you go real soon. Well, no, actually, you never see Pepper Potts again.
Right.
So it's like,
which is not what. Right. Okay.
And I like I said, I'm not faulting them for doing that, but it's like when you have this big chunk of thing that where an actor plays entirely out of character for all this stuff to build up all this stuff, and then with hindsight it goes nowhere. Ugh, it's just really frustrating to me.
No, I think this speaks to that he really, at his core, he is a bit diabolical. And I'm not going to say that the aloof Justin Hammer is the act. I think that is who he is, but I think there's a duality. I'm not trying to get too deep on Justin Hammer, but every time I see this scene, I'm always like, oh wow, he just turned on a dime, and it's his intensity he looks at her with. And when you think about, again, going all the way back to the Senate or congressional hearing at the beginning of the movie, like, no, he wants to be chums with Tony. She got in the way. I hate you. And so now, I'll just lie. I'll do whatever it takes. And what's really great is, here's what he's trying to do. He senses her sort of innocence, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. He's messing with her.
I guess so, because she is flummoxed.
Yes.
She is like me. Pepper spends this whole scene entirely confused. What the hell is he talking about? What is going on?
Ooh.
Yeah.
He's not happy with her. That's my take on it. It's okay. You're my
sadly on this weird note, ladies and gentlemen, that's a picture wrap on Sam Rockwell. No! Come on, that's it. Rob, there goes the hammer.
Oh my god. No, you know what? I'll tell you something. When I was watching this, I don't like to go too far ahead when we're getting ready for the show.
Sure.
And I thought that this was it. I'm like, wow, that's how he goes out. Like, talking about proms and stuff. Like, what?
Yeah.
What is happening? Yeah.
That's it. Sam Rockwell's done. That's it.
I got to tell you, well, first of all, Mr. Rockwell, phenomenal. You're one of our favorite parts of this movie.
We loved Dustin Hammer still, even after this minute detail that we went into on this thing, still probably my favorite character from this movie.
Absolutely.
Like, obviously, Justin Hammer is such a great character. I wish they had done more with him. Hopefully, Marvel, now that they have a new creative venture in the TV series, that they can bring him back in some way, shape, or form. I've got ideas if they're really stuck for doing it. I think Sam Rockwell would come back to play. I mean, he seems like the kind of guy who'd have a good time. I really would like to see a post-prison Hammer. I think maybe you can prequel it all you want. Like if you want to set it during the time, that's fine. But like I think having it set in the now, like post blip, what Justin Hammer out of prison. I even wrote a story about what that would be like. it's out there in the world. Like I have my own little fan fiction thing of what Justin Hammer would be like. I mean, so I think that would, because it allows you to bring him back in a whole new way and see him in a different thing. How his prison changed Justin Hammer.
Now, okay, can I make this is not happening because nothing's ever been said about this
however, there's an Armor Wars series coming, and so that would be the perfect person to drop into there.
So about to say two predictions on this.
Yeah.
Number one, Armor Wars,
yes,
because that absolutely makes sense. And if you can't have a Tony Stark, you might as well have this character to play foil for things.
Yes.
Here's what I also hope, though. I would love, if it's not in Shang-Chi or something, I would love to see him somehow be a part of the 10 Rings.
Well, I mean, come on, Rob. You know a part of that.
I know.
Yeah. But so my pitch would be, at time of recording, we know nothing more than the fact that War Machine is getting his own series. It's called Armor Wars. It's based on the thing. My thing would be to bring Justin Hammer back, put him in that show, but have him be working with War Machine, not against him. Don't bring him back as a villain. Bring him back as the guy who does not want to be there, but as part of a condition of his parole, has to work with it. The two, like Cheadle and Rockwell together, that's just magic. And so to have them be, imagine Justin Hammer being like the guy in chair for War Machine as he's out in the world. Like he's the voice in your head as you're like trying to do these missions. Come on.
That would be incredible. And could you tell the story? Could the character arc mirror Tony Stark in that he ends up becoming the self-sacrificing hero?
Exactly. Because he of anyone who has growth, it's Justin Hammer. Like he has an arc, even if it turns out that it's going into full-on supervillainy.
Right.
All
right. Well, okay. Once again,
so the minute is still not done, though.
We're not
thank
done.
you, Sam Rockwell. We love you. Even if you didn't come back, you contributed significantly to the MCU, and we are all the better for it.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, but it is not a picture wrap on Gwyneth Paltrow, who continues on. So she continues on outside talking with the police officers, and she says, when they get here, I think you should station them at the south, east, and both west exits. I don't know who they is. I assume police, the rescue services, something like that. The police officer says, we shut down the 7 train in and out of Willets Point already. Pepper says, well, we have city buses there to ferry people to operating lines. Police officer says, yeah. Are you coming with us? And Pepper says, no, I'm going to stay until the park is clear. The police officer says, okay. And he walks away with the rest of the cops, leaving Pepper standing alone on the steps. And that is where the minute ends. Now, this is a very good leadership thing for her right here. Like she could go get a limo, obviously your driver and your car and your personal assistant are gone, but you could still get somebody, you're still the CEO of Stark Industries. You could easily find someone to take you away, but no, she is staying there in this mess with all this chaos going on and exploding robots and glass and death and all this stuff. Like she is staying there. That's a really good position for a leader to be. Like, go Pepper. But it's significant that she's standing on these particular stairs because, as we've been talking about the multiverse and stuff, there is another reason why these stairs and her being on them are important, because in the original ending, this is where the finale of the movie took place. So there is a deleted scene you can see that that I don't want to describe it to you, but that happens, and so this is where the final confrontation happens. Like, it didn't happen in the garden, like the suit and fighting and whips and all that stuff that we're going to talk about in the next couple minutes. No, that happened right here, right now. So as all the same thing had happened, like they had already fought the drones and destroyed them and everything, and so Tony and Rhodey were in the Japanese garden, like, whoo, man, we totally kicked butt, right? Metal high five. And so there's still more chaos going on. So the people are still running around and in the midst of this chaos is Ivan. So he has shown up here just as himself. He's just a guy walking around like in his leather coat. I don't know where he got the leather coat. Walking around as sort of like enjoying the chaos that he has unleashed. I mean, just seeing the panic in the crowds and the blood and all this stuff. And, he's like walking through the crowd with his hoodie up, like, yeah, that's right. It was me. I'm the one who did all this to you. That's right. And he goes and like takes some food off of a vendor cart and some kind of whipped cream or whatever. So he has like gets a handful of whipped cream and is eating it as he's walking. And you also see that he has like micro whips. So like we'd seen before, he's developing like really bigger, stronger whips. Well, in this one, he has smaller, lighter whips. So like as he's walking, from his sleeve comes out this little zip gun kind of version of his whip, kind of thing. And obviously the CG on this is not finished, but this little handle thing comes out and you see it like the electricity light up and stuff too as he's walking through. So he's walking around and as he's going through, he's working his way to the main stage of the expo center. So he sees Pepper standing there, and as Pepper's standing there, he then wraps one of these micro whips around her throat. And I gotta say, Gwyneth Paltrow does a great job of like selling being choked. Like, like she really like goes all out, like, oh, there's a thing around my throat. And obviously because we know from the barest amount of CG that they put into the scene, because, they were testing it out, like there was nothing there that she had to react against. So she really goes for it. And so she's doing it. And so she then somehow calls out to Tony. That was a little unclear to me. Like, I don't know how they're communicating, but they cut to Tony and the roadie, and he realizes that Pepper's in trouble, and then he hears Ivan over the thing, like you want her back. I can't remember what he says. They come find me or whatever. And so Tony just takes off. Like Rhodey's like, dude, what are we? He's gone. Just like Tony just flies away. Right. And so he goes and he lands. And so they have their conversation right there on those steps. She's wearing that same LBD. Like, I mean, it's happening right now. So Tony's standing there and he's like telling Rhodey, when the signal happens, unleash everything, like blast everything around here. And Rhodey says, all I have left is the ex-wife. And then Tony stops talking to him for no apparent reason. So then Whiplash standing there, whip around her throat, like, you're going to lose everything, blah, blah, villain monologue nonsense, blah, blah, blah. And so then Tony does something we've never seen him do in an Iron Man movie. He steps out of the suit. Like, this is something that we wouldn't see until basically the end of the Avengers movie. He stands there and opens, and the suit opens up and allows him to step out of it, and we actually get to see sort of this unitard thing with like circuitry on it, and then there's the triangular new arc reactor in his chest, and he steps out of it and said, "Oh, like I say, this is not finished CG. I'm not faulting them in anything of that." Like that's fine. So he steps out of it and then stands there, and then as he's having his conversation, like, "Oh, your fights with me, let her go." Then Whiplash uses his other whip and whips and goes around his Tony's throat. So now he's got both of them, and he's villain monologuing. For those of you who have been paying very close attention, there was a plot element that they introduced way back in the early part that from another deleted scene when Pepper was meeting Tony and talking, and they were having their big, when she's sick, and they're having the walking fight through the lab, and you see the thing. Right. So there's a plot, and then it was a plot element that was reintroduced in the deleted scene from when he goes to see her when she's become CEO of the office. And now it comes back to it. So 1, 2, third time is the payoff. It's the nanoball. Remember the nanoball? So the nanoball is that little piece of Tony Stark tech that it's like a small ball, and when you activate it, it basically can become sort of like a piece of armor. Like it expands out. It's silly putty, but technology-wise. So Tony gave it to Pepper, and she was messing with it. Later on, he was playing with it at her desk, and so it was there. And now it comes up again because she reaches into her bag, and she still has the ball. throws it to Tony. He puts it on his hand, kind of, if you remember, it's kind of like what he does in Captain America Civil War, where he does that, like, out of his watch. He pulls a thing to stop the bullet when the Winter Soldier's trying to kill him. Like, it's that same idea, except that this is much more of, like, the nanotech kind of thing. Like it's very much of a fluid thing that whoosh, and he uses it to break the whip off of that around his neck. And so, like, and then it stops it, and then he steps back, almost jumps back into the suit. The suit grabs around him. He launches up forward, grabs Pepper, shoots into the air, and meanwhile, Rhodey's been making his way there. You see him flying all the way through. And as Tony jumps off and repulsor blasts down, the ex-wife comes flying in from the side. It hits it, explodes. Whiplash dies, big fire explosion, they fly away, and then they kiss. Everyone goes home happy. That was how Iron Man 2 originally ended. So this can be found online. You can watch it, and it is terrible. Like, it's so many bad ideas. So, like, as many shots as we've taken, they made the exact right choice in the ending they chose. I'm going to have my issues with the next couple of minutes. However, this is way worse than what we ended up with.
Hey, I just want to say this. As a person who creates content, okay, anyone's listening, anything you do that involves creation of something.
Sure.
It is amazing to see the amount of time and effort that goes into things that go wrong, that go nowhere. And you have to rethink it entirely.
Yes.
That's hard because people are trying to produce stuff so quickly today.
Yeah.
This is such a testament to, get it right. Don't just go down the road. You think, this, does this work or not? This is horrible. If this is how the movie ended, first of all, I'm glad you mentioned Gwyneth Paltrow's acting is great.
Yeah.
Whiplash is horrible in this.
Yeah. I don't know if this
horrible.
is Mickey Rourke has big issues with this movie. Like he really has been very, very against it, like, very, very vocal in how disliked he was. But I'm like, man, I hope that one of the things he didn't dislike was the ending, because, like, this was way worse.
Oh, this was okay, even to the point of it's comical when he picks up the little, like, banana split boat, which looks like it's filled with, like, strawberries and whipped cream.
Yeah.
And he's, like, eating the whipped cream with his hands is ridiculously, like, you can almost sense the animosity of filming this. Like,
well, in Rob, in Soviet Russia, cream whips you.
Well,
Good
Lord. I thought you were gonna say we don't have cows. We don't even know what is. Whoa. Okay. So first of all, absolutely check this out, because again, it's just really cool to see the creative process.
Yeah. Oh yeah. As like I said, like Rob was saying, as someone who creates content, it's sometimes difficult to let stuff go and to admit, you know what, my original idea was not the best idea. Like I recently got feedback from the person I was writing a thing for, and I was like, how dare you? Don't you know I'm a genius? And it took, I had to take a minute and go, you know what? Like, you need to get over yourself. Like, this is a collaboration. Like, not all your ideas are, entirely brilliant the first time out. Get over yourself. And so, like, and it takes a lot. And also, but the nice thing is, you'll never get to know what that is, because it stays in my archives. Like, it never comes out again. So, but like here, they actually show their quote unquote failure on screen. Because they shot it, they put special effects, they did all this stuff, they edited it, and they put it out for to see. Like, look, this didn't work at all. And so I give them credit for that. But I also give them credit for making the right decision and not doing this as their ending.
No, and a huge thank you for anybody who is in this art and anyone in the creative arts that is willing to show the mess up, like willing to reveal that, because you should have more appreciation, which is why we do this podcast, for the work that makes it to the final screen.
Right.
It's really amazing. One other thing to note on this, I love the fact that they were ambitious enough to think they could do the opening suit where he can walk out of.
Right.
Which we see later on in Iron Man in future movies.
Yeah.
That could have been also part of this. Like, maybe our CG. Though, when you look at the battle scene that we just witnessed, the CG, their CG ability was there.
Well, yeah, we didn't even mention that before, too. But, like, as well, it still counts, because the beginning of this minute does have it stuff, too. It's 10 years later, man. Like, it still looks amazing.
Yes.
And the thing I like about this is it still looks stylized.
Yes.
You know, it's not trying to be 4K ultra, you know, better than Halo Infinite kind of graphics. Right. Like it fits in and of the time, but it hasn't aged badly.
Right.
So much CG that I have to, like, when I show stuff to my daughter, like from the 90s, I have to go, okay, you have to understand.
Clarify. Let me disclaimer this.
Right. CG was really, really new, and not everybody, knew exactly how to do it. But this still holds up.
Oh, yeah. No, and not in this deleted scene.
Not in this deleted scene. Yeah, exactly. But like
scene,
into the fight.
Oh,
but yeah,
some phenomenal. The effects in this are amazing. Okay, I do find the suit, his undergarment suit, very interesting because that's not something we've seen.
No,
we've never seen that before in Iron Man. So that's, again, very unique.
Right. We've seen him walk out in a tuxedo.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who knows what he could have walked out of anything. And then, okay, now I know we did discuss the okay, I think I vaguely remember the nano ball.
I did tell all listeners that it would be important later.
Okay. And I flushed it because you know why? I'm going to be honest, because I've never seen this deleted scene before we got ready for the show. So This was all news to me. Now I'm like, oh, now it all connects. And that's amazing too, that this sequence, they did reuse much more effectively, like you said, in Civil War.
Right.
Again, happy mistakes. Sometimes these things don't work out now. They work out
almost
later.
That exact thing, except for the arms being spread wide, was used in Spider-Man Homecoming. Because we had this whole thing where it seems like Tony is just remotely piloting the suit. He's not really there. And then suddenly the suit opens and he steps out of it, to Peter's surprise.
I will say this. There's one good thing about this deleted scene. And I'm going to give us a spoiler for the next minute. It will be an exhibit in a lawsuit that I will be filing.
Okay.
In defense of one Justin Hammer. Because we are going to talk about it in the next minute. Ooh. I have lit a fuse that will detonate in our next minute.
Okay. All right. So you do not want to miss minute 110 to find out what the end of that a particular moment is. But in honor of trying hard and sometimes failing, but every once in a while hitting it out of the park and letting our messes be seen, sometimes our ums and ahs and all the things, how about leaving us a review? We work really hard on this show, and we would like to know that you're out there listening. We see numbers, but numbers are cold and unfeeling. You could put words down next to stars, and it comes to us directly, and we get to see them and go, hey, people actually are listening out there. It makes us feel good and helps other people find the show. In particular, my favorite number of stars is 5.
Yes, mine as well.
So be back here for minute 110. We're going to find out what Rob's new bombshell is going to be. Even I don't know what's going to happen. And so you shouldn't miss it. Enough said.
Bye.